When I asked my girlfriend to watch my son for 2 hours, she sent me a $1,000 invoice. "I'm not your nanny or your maid," she wrote. I replied, "Understood." Then I put together an expense summary: back rent, groceries, utilities, even basics, totaling $126,000. She called me. "Wait. You're serious?" I said, "Yes." She called her parents, distraught. At the urgent talk, I just handed them the folder, She sent me a $1,000 invoice for watching my own son. And the moment I read it, I knew exactly what I had to do. I was still sitting in the sound booth at the radio station when it hit my phone. The on-air sign was dark, my shift had just ended, but I hadn't moved. I just sat there, headphones still around my neck, staring at the screen while the hum of old air vents filled the silence around me. The message was formatted like a real business document. Clean. Cold. Professional. Invoice for child care services. Client, Tristan Hale. Amount due, $1,000. And beneath it, one single sentence: "I am not your nanny or your maid." I read it once. Then I read it again. Usually, that booth felt like the one place where life made sense. Clean clock segments, structured hours, everything under control. That night, all I could hear was my own heartbeat. I typed back 2 words. Understood. Then I opened my laptop and started building a document I never planned to make. That was the moment everything changed. My name is Tristan Hale. I'm 34. I host evening radio segments, record commercial voiceovers, do freelance narration work. People say my voice sounds warm, steady, trustworthy. Funny thing, because for 2 years, my private life had been running on exhaustion, compromise, and a quiet resentment I kept pretending wasn't there. I'm a single father to a 6-year-old named Eli. His mother left when he was 3. Not dramatically. She just slowly drifted away until one day it was obvious. She wanted freedom more than she wanted the life we built together. I stopped chasing explanations. There's only so long you can beg someone to love what they helped create. After she left, everything landed on me. School drop-offs, late-night shifts, grocery runs, laundry at midnight, voiceover edits after Eli fell asleep, packing lunches while answering client emails. I held it all together on too little sleep and way too much caffeine. Then I met her. She worked in event promotions, through a company that partnered with our station. She was polished, sharp, magnetic, the kind of woman who knew exactly how to make you feel chosen when she turned her attention toward you. She flirted first. Said she liked my voice. Said it was refreshing to meet a man who actually took fatherhood seriously. For a while, she felt like relief. She said all the right things. That Eli was adorable. That my dedication made me different. That she admired how grounded I was. I believed I'd finally found someone who understood what real life actually looked like. What I actually found was someone who loved the idea of me, not the reality. Because the reality came with bills and routines and a child who needed things on a schedule that didn't care about anyone's mood. She moved in temporarily after her rent went up. Cried at my kitchen table one night, said she just needed a few months to get back on her feet. I believed her. I cleared closet space, made room in the bathroom, told myself this was what caring for someone looked like. Those few months became a year and a half. And slowly, almost invisibly, I started paying for everything. Rent, groceries, utilities, Wi-Fi, household supplies, takeout when she was broke, gas when her account ran low, a phone bill once when hers got cut off before an event, a car battery, toiletries. All those small things that stack up so gradually you don't realize you're drowning until you try to stand up. She contributed here and there, but never consistently. There was always a reason. A delayed payment. A rough month. A promise to catch up later. Later never came. But the money was only part of it. What actually wore me down was her attitude toward anything that looked like shared responsibility. If she loaded the dishwasher once, she acted like she deserved a standing ovation. If I cooked, cleaned, worked, parented, and paid for nearly everything, that was invisible. Just expected. The first real crack came when I asked her to wipe down the counter after she and Eli did a glue and marker school project all over the kitchen. She looked at me like I'd personally insulted her. I'm not your maid. I let it go. Another time, I asked if she could pick Eli up from school because I was stuck in a recording session and traffic was going to make me late. She sighed like I'd asked her to move furniture. I can, but I need you to understand this is a huge favor. Her huge favor was delaying a manicure and drinks with a friend. I still thanked her. That's the part that kills me most looking back, not that I was being used, but that I stayed polite while it happened. Then came the Tuesday that ended everything. My mother, who normally watched Eli twice a week after school, texted me from urgent care. Sprained ankle. Couldn't drive. My afternoon shift was already a disaster. A producer had called in sick, a sponsor segment needed re-recording, and a freelance voiceover deadline was stacked right on top of my live slot. Eli got out of school at 3 o'clock. I had nobody. For once, just once, I needed the woman living in my home to act like part of the household. I called her at 1:30. Hey. I need a favor. Pause. What kind? My mom can't do pickup. I need someone to get Eli from school and stay with him till I'm home. 2 hours. Maybe 2.5. Another pause. I have plans. Can they move? She sighed. I can do it, but this is exactly what I've been talking about. You keep assuming I'm available to absorb your responsibilities. I stared through the soundproof glass in front of me. Absorb my responsibilities? Yes, she said. I didn't sign up to be default child care. It's 2 hours. It's the principle, Tristan. I should have said what was sitting right on the tip of my tongue, that principles apparently only mattered when she was the one being asked for something. But I didn't. I just asked one last time. Can you do it or not? She exhaled sharply. Fine. I'll do it. At 5:07, while I was waiting on an audio render at the station, my phone buzzed. I looked down. The invoice. Professional layout. Cold tone. $1,000. And beneath it, I am not your nanny or your maid. That line hit harder than the number. The number was ridiculous. But the sentence? The sentence was honest. That was how she saw me. Not as a partner. Not as family. As a man trying to assign her labor. And my son, not as a child in her home who needed care. As a service request. I replied. Understood. Then I opened Excel. If she wanted to make this transactional, fine. Then let's be thorough. I started with the basics. Back rent for 18 months. Then groceries. I had receipts for almost everything because freelance work trained me to document every expense. Then utilities. Household supplies. Transportation costs. Phone bills. Emergency bailouts. All those just this once payments that had somehow become routine. By the time I finished, the number was already ugly. Then I added one final section, not because I thought I could ever collect it, but because I needed the full truth laid out in front of me. Housing. Food. Utilities. Essentials. Repeated bailouts. Everything. The total came to $126,000. Was it symbolic? Yes. Was it also rooted in reality? More than she would ever admit. Because exploitation sounds manageable when it's monthly. It sounds monstrous when it's totaled. I printed it, slid it into a black folder, and took it home. If you're still with me right now, and I have a feeling you are, go ahead and hit subscribe. Stories like this one keep coming, and you don't want to miss them. At 5:41, my phone rang. She was furious. Wait, you're serious? You actually sent me a statement. Yes. What is wrong with you? I almost laughed. You invoiced me for asking you to watch my son for 2 hours because you're sick of being treated like built-in labor. And I'm sick of funding your life while you act insulted by basic responsibility. That is not the same thing. It is when one person is doing all the carrying. She raised her voice, then said the line she clearly thought would scare me. I'm calling my parents. Go ahead, I said. When I got home, Eli came running out of his room the second he heard the door. Daddy. I picked him up and held him close. Is she mad? He asked quietly. She was, I said. Are you okay? He shrugged. She was on her phone. That was enough. She wasn't home. Shoes gone, But most of her things still there, she'd stormed out. At 8:14, she texted, "My parents want an urgent talk tonight. We're coming over at 9. I replied, "Fine." I got Eli settled in my bedroom with a blanket and a movie and waited. At 9 o'clock, the buzzer rang. She came in first, eyes red, arms folded tight. Her father followed with the stiff, aggressive posture of a man who'd already decided to defend his daughter before hearing a single word. Her mother trailed behind, lips thin, expression carefully blank. Nobody said hello. Her father started immediately. "What kind of stunt is this?" I didn't answer. I picked up the black folder from the kitchen counter and handed it to him. That changed the room. He opened it with obvious irritation. Then he started reading. His wife leaned over his shoulder. My girlfriend's expression shifted the moment she realized this wasn't an emotional outburst, it was documentation. The apartment went completely quiet. Nobody likes paper when they're used to getting by on mood and vagueness. Her mother broke first. "This is absurd." "No," I said. "It's itemized." My girlfriend snapped. "You're not actually expecting me to pay $126,000. You expected me to pay $1,000. That was different." I nodded. "You keep saying that." Her father looked up. "You're being petty." "Maybe. But I'm also being accurate." Then my girlfriend exploded. "I'm sick of being treated like some maid you can assign chores to. I am not your nanny." I looked at her steadily. "In 18 months, you haven't paid consistent rent. You haven't paid consistent groceries. You haven't paid consistent utilities. I've funded most of your life. And when I ask for 2 hours during an emergency, you send me an invoice." Her mother stepped in. "Relationships aren't accounting exercises." "No," I said. "But people like your daughter turn them into that when it benefits them." She flinched. My girlfriend tried another angle. "So paying for things means you own me?" "No. It means I get to stop pretending I don't notice." That landed harder than any shouting ever could. Her father tried to regain control. "Nobody owes anybody 6 figures." "I agree," I said. "Which is why I'm not suing her." All 3 of them paused. Then I said the part that mattered. "But she is moving out." The room went dead. "What?" she whispered. "You heard me. You're throwing me out over one message?" "No. I'm ending this over what that message proved." Her mother stared. "Where is she supposed to go?" I held her gaze. "That sounds like a conversation for her and her parents." My girlfriend looked genuinely stunned, like she had truly expected this night to end with me apologizing for taking it too seriously. That's when I understood something I should have seen much sooner. She had never once expected consequences. She thought I'd be hurt. Maybe angry. But still available. Still soft. Still there. Instead, the ground disappeared beneath her feet. I walked to the hall closet and set 2 empty moving bags on the floor in front of her. "You can take essentials tonight. I'll box the rest tomorrow." She looked at me like she'd never seen me before. "Are you serious?" "Yes." Her father looked like he wanted to threaten me, but there's only so much intimidation a man can hold onto while standing in another man's apartment, gripping a folder that proves his daughter has been freeloading for over a year. So he said nothing. She packed furiously. Makeup bag. Boots. Laptop charger. Dresses. Cosmetics. Bathroom things grabbed at random. At one point, she knocked over a bottle of Eli's bubble bath. Blue. Liquid spread across the tile. She looked at the mess. Then she looked at me. I handed her a towel. She stared at it for a moment. Then she cleaned it up. That tiny moment told me more than the entire fight had. For once, she had to deal with the mess she made instead of expecting me to smooth it over quietly. By the time she reached the door with her bags, her fury had thinned into something closer to panic. "So that's it?" "Yes." "All because I stood up for myself." "No," I said. "Because you've been using us." The word "us" hit her. Not just me. Me and my son. A small family she had lived beside for a year and a half without ever truly joining. She glanced past me toward the hallway where Eli's little socks were peeking out near the laundry basket. For the first time that entire night, she looked ashamed. Then she left. Her parents followed. The door closed. And the silence that filled the apartment felt cleaner than anything I'd breathed in months. I locked the deadbolt and just stood there for a moment. Then I went to my bedroom. Eli was half asleep, blinking slowly at the TV glow. "Daddy." "I'm here, buddy." "Is she gone?" "Yes." He pulled the blanket closer. "Okay." That was all he said. Children understand the weather of a home without needing an explanation. They just feel when the storm has passed. The next morning, my phone was full of messages. "I never thought you could be this cold. You humiliated me." My parents had to read all of that. "We need to talk like adults." I responded once. "You can pick up the rest of your boxes on Saturday." That was it. I spent the day packing her things carefully: clothes, hair tools, makeup, shoes, half-used skincare products. The expensive candle she always insisted made the apartment feel elevated. I found surprisingly little that had actually been bought for the household. Almost everything was for her comfort, her image, her convenience. At the bottom of a drawer, I found the printed copy of her original invoice. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I slipped it into the folder with my expense summary and filed it away. Not as revenge. As a reminder. Saturday came. Her parents picked up the boxes. Her father looked tired now, not angry. Her mother kept her eyes down while we loaded everything into their SUV. Before she left, her mother paused. "She's staying with us for now. A beat. She's having a difficult time." I looked at the stacked boxes behind her. "I'm sure." She hesitated, then added quietly, "She says she didn't realize how much you were covering." That almost made me laugh. Of course she didn't. People rarely notice the beams holding up the roof until one of them gets removed. "She knows now," I said. Her mother gave a small, tight nod and left. After that, life got strangely light. Not easy. I was still a single dad. Still had freelance deadlines and late grocery runs and mornings where Eli refused to wear the shoes he'd loved the day before. But the drag was gone. No more resentment living in my own home. No more paying for someone who acted offended when asked to participate. No more convincing myself that minimum effort counted as love. I rearranged the apartment. Turned her old vanity corner into a reading nook for Eli. Got rid of the candle. Bought a second-hand armchair. Set a lamp by the window. We started making pancakes on Sunday mornings. We played music while cleaning. The place felt smaller without her things, but somehow for the first time, it actually felt like home. A few weeks later, she called from an unknown number. I answered, curious. Her voice was different. Softer. Careful. "I've been thinking," she said. "About what?" "About everything." I waited. I was angry. And maybe I was unfair. Then, a moment later, the truth arrived. My parents are charging me rent. I closed my eyes. There it was. Not remorse. Consequence. She went on. Her parents had sat her down, explained that if she was living there, she had to contribute. Her father had given her a whole lecture on accountability. "I guess I never understood what it actually costs to support a household," she said quietly. "No," I said. "You didn't." Silence. Then, "Do you think maybe we could ever?" "No. You didn't even let me finish. You didn't need to." Before hanging up, she said, "Tell Eli I said hi." I looked into the living room where my son was lying on the rug, drawing sharks with laser eyes shooting out of their heads. "No," I said. "I won't confuse him for your comfort." She hung up. That was the last real conversation we ever had. Months later, I landed a better narration contract with a regional streaming network. It paid well enough that Eli and I moved into a brighter apartment, bigger windows, a second bedroom where he could spread his toy dinosaurs out like a tiny natural history museum. We bought curtains together. Debated wall colors. Built something that felt calm and quiet and entirely ours. One evening while I was making spaghetti, Eli looked up from the couch and asked, "Why doesn't she live with us anymore?" I stirred the sauce and thought for just a second. Because she didn't know how to be kind to our family. He nodded like that made complete sense. And honestly, it did. Because in the end, it was never really about the $1,000 invoice. That was just the moment the truth finally arrived wearing a price tag. The real issue was contempt. Contempt for what I carried every single day. Contempt for what parenthood requires. Contempt for the basic idea that living inside a home means helping sustain it. The invoice wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a confession. And my folder, the one I handed her father that night, wasn't really about collecting $126,000. It was a mirror. A way of saying, if you want to reduce care and sacrifice and love down to transactions, then let's total everything honestly. You don't get to enjoy someone's labor for 18 months and then scream exploitation the first time they ask for 2 hours of help. You don't get to live off a man's consistency while treating his burdens with contempt. And you absolutely do not get to look at his child like an inconvenience with a premium service rate. For a long time, I thought boundaries had to be loud. Slamming doors. Final speeches. Dramatic exits. But sometimes the strongest thing you can do is quiet. A 2-word reply. A clean folder. An open door. And the absolute refusal to keep funding your own disrespect. I still love deeply. I still work hard. I still stay up too late fixing things that matter to me. But I pay attention now. I notice whether kindness moves in both directions. I notice whether gratitude exists. I notice whether someone wants to share a life, or just be carried by one. I'm Tristan. I'm a father. I'm a narrator. And for too long, I let someone else write the story of my own life while I kept the peace. Not anymore. Because here's what I know now, the moment someone sends you an invoice for basic human decency, believe them. They just told you exactly who they are. Answer with the truth. And bring receipts. What would you have done if you'd received that invoice? Would you have stayed and tried to work it out, or would you have walked away just like I did? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I genuinely want to know where you stand.